Well, the guy sitting next to me was supposed to be here at 10:25. He comes in about 10, 15 minutes early and said to me when he walked in the door, "Hey, I'm trying to get the guys to be accountable. I have to be accountable too." I like that. Doesn't have to be accountable to me necessarily, but probably Mike Buddy would be the guy you'd want to be accountable
Yes,
to.
sir.
This is Andre Bernardi. He is the new strength and conditioning coach here at Furman University. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Thank you for coming up and talking to us, especially on such short notice. I was over there yesterday, and it's good that the schedule just kind of worked out like this. How is the acclimation going to becoming a Paladin after being a Crusader?
It's going great. Just trying to teach the kids how I do things, my staff, how we're going to do things. That way, big thing is trying to have one weight room culture, one way of doing things, and being on the same page with our athletes as well as my coaches.
I would imagine the most difficult part of your job right now is just getting to know names.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I mean, football coaches, at least, you can say, hey, 27, hey, 72,
yes, sir.
like that. You can't do that,
A
can you?
lot of names, and that's going to be a struggle for me. We've had a lot of smaller groups, and that's kind of been good for me because I'm getting to know names and getting to know the kids. So that'll come, but that has definitely been a process.
You know, a lot of times early in football camps, they'll put the athletic tape with the
Yes, sir.
Would you do that on somebody's forehead?
We may have to do that.
If you could describe your philosophy and how you go about your business, how would you do it?
I'm a big up-tempo guy. I want guys to be great at little things. I want them to move fast. I want them to be able to move well, do different things on command. I do a ton of Olympic lifting. For a strength coach, it's all pushing and pulling, but it's about how we go about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how the guys are adjusting to how I do things. They're learning that we're supposed to have a good time and getting better. And that's kind of what I want to bring to the table here for our athletes. Yeah, it's fun. We're trying to have a good time, but we're trying to be better at doing things the right way.
You also have to do things the way that particular coaches, especially football,
Yes, sir.
wants done. And Clay Hendricks wants his linemen to look a certain way.
Yes, sir.
And so just talk about integrating your style with what the coaches want.
Well, the coaches are my boss, and they have a certain way they want things done, and we are definitely on the same page. There's some areas, certain guys need to get bigger, certain guys need to get stronger. We need to get more mobile, but Coach Hendricks been great. He's kind of, hey, take it and run with it. When we went along with our interview process and all that, I kind of gave him an idea of what I wanted to do, and we really meshed well on how we wanted things done. And the coaches, they're a big part of the success they had. They are the success they had this last year. The guys bought in. I just want to add another piece of the puzzle that's hopefully going to make our guys even better to where we're getting better at little things and we go to that SoCon championship and win it, or go to that next playoff game and win it. And that I'm going to take pride in the next couple weeks in really getting our guys prepared for the demands of a football game.
You were the first ever full-time program-wide strength and conditioning coach at North Greenville.
Yes, sir.
From what, 2011 forward?
Yes, sir.
So you got a chance to kind of mold a program
Yes,
there.
Sir.
What did you learn during that time?
Well, I learned to do things with less. My first weight room was upstairs. I had 9 bars, 9 racks, and a couple dumbbells. So it made me a better strength coach, and learning how I want things done. I was able to establish a culture of how we're supposed to do things in a weight room for an athletic department. It's made me a much better strength coach. I also, 3 years later, I was able to build my own facility exactly how I wanted it. And North Greenville was a great experience. It was great to me. I was ready for a new challenge and the next step in my career. And this opportunity came open, and I was, pumped about it and got the opportunity to take over this program.
And people should know that you played at North Greenville from '06 to '09. All-American honors 3 times, school record 42 sacks, and Division II record 78 tackles for loss. So you've got the kids, I think, do they still call it street cred?
I guess so.
Yeah,
Yes,
you bring a little street
yes,
cred
sir.
to you as well,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir. Well, I played for Coach Staggs, the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And when I heard about this opportunity, I also worked with Coach Bratton before I got here. And, Coach Staggs and Coach Tadwell came in and kind of set an expectation, and that really helped mold my philosophy on how I wanted things. And I knew when I came here, these kids were going to be well coached, well prepared kids, and I was excited about seeing the opportunity. But I had a good playing career, and I coached the same way. I would say if when I was a player, probably the best thing about me was my motor. And I want to say as a coach, I feel like I've got a motor. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to make guys better.
You also have worked a little bit in the private sector at D1 Sports here in Greenville from 2011 to 2013. How does the private sector experience factor into what you're doing now, or does it at all?
It does. That's more individual training. I'm more of a strength coach. I'm better working with a group. And I really think the guys have done a great job in buying into how I want things done. But, D1 was a good experience. And, I did that part-time early in my career. My wife worked there as well. So it was a good experience working the private sector. It just wasn't necessarily for me.
Incidentally, this guy, when he left North Greenville to come here at Furman, they named a new strength coach at North Greenville University who also happens to have the last name Bernardi, right?
Yes, sir. My wife got hired on as director of strength conditioning at North Greenville, and man, she's just a great strength coach. What she's done for that program is unbelievable. She's one of few female strength coaches that I know of. Period. And she does a great job. She's actually in Mississippi today speaking at a conference, and she's just a great coach. So she's going to do big things over there.
Now, I got to ask you this question because for a year, my wife and I owned a restaurant together and ultimately sold it because we decided that if we didn't, we were going to kill each other.
Yes.
What was it like working with your wife?
We really loved it. It was a great experience. I tell people I just stayed out of her way, but
Smart man.
But we were on the same page, and she kind of took the female athletes and did her thing. And when she had a team in there, I would try to assist her, and she did a lot to help me with football on different like spreadsheet and organization and stuff like that. So we really kind of shadowed each other's weaknesses and made each other better in areas we needed to get better.
I know it's only been a couple of weeks that you've been here, but do you find yourself going home now, coming together and comparing notes?
Oh yeah, we're strength coaches, so when we go home, we talk about our day, but we're talking about movement, we're talking about what kids did, we're talking about what kids got PRs, we're talking about the differences in our athletes. So, good coaches are always competitors. So we kind of talk about, well, I had an athlete do this. So, but it's cool to really, you go to these conferences and talk shop with different coaches, and man, I get to go home and talk shop and with my wife and, learn from her, and she learns from me, and it's really been great for us.
This is Andre Bernardi. He is the new strength coach here at Furman University. What was it about this position that was so appealing to you?
Well, I'm obviously I was brought here to be the director and be involved in every sport, but knowing what Furman has done in the past from a football standpoint, and really all sports are very, very successful program. With Coach Staggs and Coach Bratton and some guys that I already knew, I knew they've established a winning culture, and I knew that I wanted to be around coaches that had the same goals as me. I was ready to take the next step. This is my first time working with Division I athletes, and I'm pumped, and I'm just honestly just hungry to get kids better.
Was there any part of you that was hesitant to leave something that you had built from the ground up?
Well, there was hesitation, and that was just me, kind of, had the attachment of being in North Greenville and all that. But I'm ready for the next step, and I knew that, and my wife was a big part of helping me make the decision. Being, working with your wife every day, seeing her all day long is great. Working at your alma mater was great. But like I said, I was ready for a challenge, and I know what the success that this program has had in every sport, and I was hungry to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think there's also something to the old phrase "absence makes the heart grow fonder." Maybe the separation during the day will
Yes,
make things a little sweeter.
Yes,
Even
sir.
we won't go down that road though.
Yes,
As
sir.
we continue with the new strength and conditioning coach Andre Bernardi here. Tell me about the interview process.
Well, I one day at North Greenville, I just heard, one of the other coaches heard like Coach Ab, who has been a mentor for me and my wife, a big part of our success as strength coaches. Somebody said he was leaving, and I was like, well, I haven't heard nothing. And then later that day, I get about 4 phone calls. Hey, Coach Bratton calls me, Coach Staggs calls me, Coach Ab calls me. So I'm like, well, what's going on? So, the opportunity came open.
So you had people from in here, inside the university, calling you and saying, "Come apply for this job."
Asking if I had interest in the job. And then about 2 days later, Coach Hendricks called me. He obviously called Coach Farrington and contacted him, made sure it was okay to contact me and stuff like that. They did it. Miss Elaine did it the right way and contacted my athletic director and all that. And I said, I'm absolutely interested. And they brought me in, and I just told them what I was about. Just, they asked me questions, nothing too complicated. Just what's kind of your philosophy? We've had a couple injuries in this area. How would you go about trying to fix that in your weight room? If there's injured guys, what are they going to be training? Stuff like that. Nutrition questions. But I felt like I meshed with the group that was in there, and we were on the same page. I really felt that after the interview. And then Miss Elaine called me and offered me the position. And I said, I didn't say right away I accepted, but I wanted to talk to my wife, and then called her the next day and accepted the position.
We are speaking with Andre Bernardi, the new strength and conditioning coach here at Furman University, a couple of weeks on the job. And I guess it's this way in any weight room. I know it was when Abernathy was here. And David and I are great friends. We used to go to church together years and years ago. So I've known him for a long, long time. But his weight room at least has one thing in common. You walk into the building, and from down the hallway, you can hear the music blaring.
Right.
You're talking
Yes,
about high energy and
Yes,
and doing that stuff. If you're not one who likes loud music, stay away from the weight room here at Furman University, and probably any weight room at any college across the country, I'd say.
I got to correct you on one thing. We don't walk in the weight room, so that's one thing. That's one of
I walk in the weight room.
So, but yeah, we have a good time, and I believe that as long as kids are doing what you want, they should have fun when they come in the weight room. But there is a goal that we try to have when we're in there, and something that a long-term goal, something we're trying to accomplish, being in there.
Yeah, because to say we want high energy, we want all this stuff is good, but energy can be used in the wrong way.
Correct. I think anything that distracts you from what we're trying to do, you shouldn't be doing. It seems like our athletes are very, very disciplined, and they listen to music and have a good time, but they know how to train too. And hopefully I could, keep that going and put a couple things in that I do differently, and kind of make it my own. But the athletes have been great so far.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. It's like any new coach coming on to a program. Clay Hendricks had to do it. Bob Ritchie, even though he was an assistant here, when you're the head coach, it's a different thing.
Yes,
The kids are going to look at you with kind of a raised eyebrow
Yes,
when you walk
for
through
sure.
the door, and you have got to earn their respect, just like
Absolutely.
they have to earn your
Absolutely.
respect, right?
Absolutely. And the kids, they're learning that I do demand. There's a certain expectation that I have. But the first week they were a little bit in shock, just by how I do things, how up tempo it is. But they know, they're starting to see that I do care about them. And honestly, my first day, I said, you know what, guys, if you hate me in here, that's okay. You can like me on game day when we're winning games.
Yeah.
And that's kind of I don't want y'all to ever actually hate, but that's kind of how I feel. It's like when we're training, we want to be training to a level that meets the demands of the game, and it should be tough. And then that way on game day, it comes easy to us.
What is, in your estimation, the difference or differences in training a male athlete versus a female athlete?
Well, I'll tell you what, females train hard. I mean, females train really hard. I was in there with the volleyball girls, and I'll give them a shout out. They train hard here, and they've clearly had a lot of success. But I think male to female, it's all the same. We've got to do for females. They tend to have ACL problems more than male athletes. So learning how to land, learning how to jump, trying to push those knees out, protect that knee joint, strengthen their hamstrings more because they have really dominant quads. That's the big thing. And then, the big thing for me is that guys lift more than girls, but girls train hard, and I've seen that when I came here, and it's cool to see.
Well, you married one.
Yeah, yeah, yep, yes sir, and she trains hard. So, my first team that I worked with when I got here was women's volleyball, and they do a phenomenal job. They really do. And all our athletes train really hard, but it seems like most of our athletes here are real hungry. And if they're hungry to get better, it really makes my job easy.
Yeah, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but when you worked with that volleyball team for the first time, were you surprised at how hard they trained?
I was. And I told their coach, I was like, man, your girls train hard. And there's kind of just an established culture. It's clear when they come in there, they work and they do it. We had a young lady. They had Max Week and they crushed it. But it's cool to watch. It's cool to watch them work. It's cool to watch them work.
So moving forward now, what's the short-term goal? What's the long-term goal?
So short term, our guys will come back. We got kind of a working max for our football team this week. When we get back, we're going to go 4 days a week in the weight room. As I got here, I'm trying to establish rules for the facility, establish one culture. And honestly, I think that's happened pretty quick. We've been able to kind of get on the same page, and my assistants, Trey and Trent, have been great. And keeping things rolling. They've done a great job. But kind of short term for football, they'll come back after spring break. We'll go 4 days a week in the weight room. And then we will do speed development 2 or 3 days. We talk about with coach maybe doing a couple mat drills just to get some of the athletes tougher and all that. And then long term, man, I'm just trying to get kids bigger, stronger, faster. That's kind of the mindset. As we get bigger, stronger, faster, toughness and all that will come with it as well. So a lot of our guys, we got some guys that are real tight in the hips and ankles. We'll do a lot more mobility drills to kind of get that better. And kind of one of our weaknesses the past week that I've noticed is our core. That's something we definitely need to train quite a bit.
Well, Clay Hendricks said at the end of last season, as magical season as it was, that in the last probably 2 or 3 games, and this was his word, that we got exposed by teams that were bigger and stronger and faster with us. So the mandate is to take the kids that had that success, but to get them stronger so that they don't run into that again.
Yes, sir. And we're a really young team. I was just talking about that with Coach Staggs, and these coaches have done a great job recruiting. It's my job to develop them. So that's going to be a focus for me, is to develop their bodies and teach them how to eat and teach them how to train, and have is kind of established that, and hopefully I could take what he did and add some of what I'm doing and just make them better.
Are you a fan of artificial turf, and do you do anything different when you're training your football players who play most of the time on artificial turf as opposed to playing on natural grass?
No, I think you should be train on what you play on.
Yeah.
When we play on this, we need to be on this field as much as possible.
But is there anything you do differently with the body for an athlete who's going to be on artificial turf more often?
Sir.
Really?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, honestly, no. We're going to train how we train. I think it is good to get on both surfaces because you're going to end up playing games on both surfaces. But, I like them both. Doesn't bug me either way. That's a good question.
Yeah, one thing. Well, I'm supposed to ask a good one every now and again. One other thing, we talked about your relationship with the kids, but you mentioned Trey and Trent. You're coming in here, and you've got to also establish a chemistry amongst the coaching staff.
Right.
Bob, Richie, and I have talked about that. Clay and I have talked about that. How's that going, and how long do you expect it to take where all three of you are on the same page, where you're thinking alike and they don't have to come to you and say, what do you want me to do in this situation? They'll already know.
Honestly, they've been great, man. They're already doing that. They're asking things. They're kind of figuring out, I'm real picky about little things in the weight room being set up one way and getting it clean one way. Anytime a recruit comes in, we want that place spotless. And they've done a good job. They're going to continue to roll with the teams that they've been working with. And I told them, I said, hey, I'm going to be your assistant for your teams, and I'm going to need you for my team as well. So, I want to be a part of every team. But Trent, man, he's done a great job. He kind of kept these guys rolling when I wasn't here, and, he's been my right-hand man. Trey has done a great job as well, adapting to what we're doing and how we're doing it. And honestly, they've kind of like put things into work, and I've just told them every single day when I leave, I was like, man, thank y'all, because y'all have done a great job in adapting how I do things. And that's huge. I could have came in and it could have been miserable, but they've made it great, and I hope I've made it great for them. Now, there's a certain way I do want things, and they've been a great job of implementing that into the facility.
Well, it sounds like things are off to a great start. It's like anything else. The proof will be in the pudding, so to speak.
Sir.
But
Yes, sir.
I know that there are a lot of people who think highly of you, and obviously that's why you're here doing what you're doing. And I appreciate you coming up
Absolutely.
and spending some time with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
This is Andre Bernardi. He is the new strength and conditioning coach here at Furman. Stay tuned. We'll be back. Take a break. We'll come back, look at the SoCon tournament basketball schedule, which starts tonight. Paladins play tomorrow night at 8:30, and we'll talk some baseball. The series opener with Central Connecticut State is this afternoon. This is the Dan Scott Show, back in just a moment.
Hey, Furman fans, it's baseball season.